Hey guys, welcome back to Alby Edited It. I'm Alby, and as I edit this photo today, I'm going to be talking about how I've never really felt like I belong anywhere, and I'm going to explore why. So first of all, let me start off by why I'm talking about this. Recently, I've had a couple of friends who had their 1 or 2 year anniversaries from dating or getting married. And, it's very nice and I'm happy for them. But it also got me thinking about how I feel so far away from something like that myself and how that doesn't seem like it's something for me. I never felt like really a part of this sort of lifestyle. And I don't even feel that connected to the typical gay lifestyle either, going to clubs and bars or raves as kind of mainstream gaydom. So that's why I thought maybe I'll talk about how I never really felt like I belonged anywhere. So first question, is this because I was always too focused in school? Back in school, I didn't date at all. So from high school to college, I never went on a single date. And in high school, I was more focused on school. And I remember seeing one of my classmates, he started dating a girl, and I actually kind of felt sorry for him because I felt like he would not be able to focus on schoolwork. And for me, my primary focus was getting into a good school. So I definitely felt like it was a good thing to not date. And of course, the brainwashing from Asian parents and also going to church, that all kind of helped contribute to that mindset probably. But it's not that I was completely not socializing and too focused on school, because I was still participating in things like student government, going to social events. I remember going to a Christmas potluck and still feeling like an outsider because a lot of the people in student government were the quote unquote cool kids. I was more of like, a dorkier, nerdy kid elected because I gave a funny speech. I kind of strategized my way in. And, maybe it was also because I was not part of the attractive, cool kids who were hanging out on their own. So there was a game we were playing where you whisper into somebody's ear and then they had to say their answer out loud, and the answer would be a name of somebody in that circle. And then they would go to that person in that circle and then whisper the prompt. So the prompt was, who do you think has the best smelling poop? When they whispered it to me, I don't know, somebody picked me for some reason. When they whispered it to me, I just chose a girl who I actually thought maybe her poop would smell the best out of everyone. And then I whispered it to her. And then she had a totally grossed out reaction, like, oh, you creep kind of reaction. I felt like, how people say a really attractive guy and a really unattractive guy can literally do the same thing. And then the unattractive guy is creepy and the attractive guy is not. I felt like that unattractive guy who did the same thing as the attractive guy and was disgusting to somebody. So anyway, I don't think it was necessarily because I was too focused on school. It was maybe because I was also very churchy, or also just didn't really focus a lot on my appearance. So then begs the question, was it because I was too churchy? Because in college, I also was, pretty churchy. So I didn't really engage a lot in campus activities and was more involved in church activities. But even in church, I also didn't really feel like I belonged. So at first, church was sort of like a safe haven as a gay boy, because church was very much about no dating until after college. So that was perfect for me because I didn't have an urge to date girls anyway, and dating guys was out of the question because I was still very churchy back then. We would just lightly talk about the virtues of a good potential wife or a good potential partner, and then that would be that. And basically any sort of dating talk not related to quote unquote a virtuous wife was prohibited. So it was sort of a safe haven for me as a gay boy. But eventually, my friends started to get married and now having kids, and I even came out to some of them. After I came out, I remember 1 or 2 of them, they started to distance themselves from me. So when it comes to church, I also did not feel like I really belonged. And it wasn't just being gay too. It was also that I had a lot of controversial opinions about things. I was a little bit anti-establishment and had controversial views about how things should be done in church. So I guess begs the next question, right? Do I not feel like I belong because I'm gay? Because in the church, that's not really accepted. So the answer to that is, I don't think so, because in mainstream gay world, I also don't feel like I really super belong. I don't watch that much RuPaul's Drag Race. I don't really party, do drugs, drink a lot, go to bars, raves, clubs. I'm more of a homebody, and I'm not like the typical gay that does those things. And I think I give off that vibe sometimes too, because I just don't always 100% go to clubs. Like I do sometimes go to the club. It's more like once every so often. So I might go like once or twice a year. Back then, people were going like every week. And because I didn't agree to go every week, or I didn't say yes to every week, they just didn't really think I would be interested in going to other stuff too. And then I wouldn't be invited to raves like that either. I guess just overall led to not me feeling like I didn't really fully belong either in, mainstream gay world. So yeah, then comes the other question. Is it because of my personality? And I think my answer to that is probably because, like I said, the church thing sort of plays into my personality where I was, anti-establishment, had controversial opinions about how things should be done in church or about how there's misconceptions in church. I think because my brain really naturally points out logical inconsistencies, and that leads to things like hypocrisy as well. So when I see these kind of inconsistencies happen, I really can't help but point them out, especially if I'm really involved or really into something. And like I said, I was really into church, so I really cared about it. And so if something was inconsistent or didn't seem right, I wanted to point it out. Unlike most people who just either would not point it out or didn't care. So I think that kind of personality typically doesn't jive well if the more people there are, the more power an establishment holds. And I guess the more quote unquote abusive power there is, because then I'm going to point it out and then I'll be in trouble. And then I'm going to no longer belong to that group if, they try to oust me or they try to socially pressure me to not be part of the group anymore. So yes, I guess it's my personality. But at the end of the day, like, I wouldn't want to be around these people anyway if they're not going to, care about the things that I also care about. And if they're not going to enjoy my company. Because yes, I do enjoy the company of people, my friends, but mostly just the people I like. And there are, unfortunately, a lot of people that I don't like to be around. And I'm perfectly happy, I guess, just being at home. I guess my straightforwardness and directness about certain things can also not really be that palatable. So I guess the big question is, sure, I've never really felt like I belong anywhere, and am I okay with that? I think in some sense, I am okay with that. Because even though I never really felt like I belonged in a group, I found myself feeling that sense of belonging through one-on-one connections. So for example, when I was younger, it was with my mom. I felt like I had really deep love and connection with my mom. And it was really different from the other kids because we would like hold hands and we would be really affectionate and really close, even in public. I remember at church, I would always like sit next to her while we eat lunch, and all the kids would just like kind of go off and do their own thing and, hang out with the other kids. And sometimes I would eat lunch with them too. But again, like I just didn't always feel like I belonged with people. Like, for example, when I was a little kid, even with family, I would get bullied. I remember when it was even on my birthday. It's so sad. Like I was 7 or 8 years old and all my cousins were there. We would hold our birthdays at my parents' restaurant, a sandwich restaurant. And they played this game where they would just like laugh and run away from me. And honestly, yeah, it sucked. It was being bullied. So I never really like felt a part of any like group. And sure, I've had really great times with my family and my cousins as well. But there's just that feeling that, I don't really feel like I belonged. And I think a big part of it also was that, I was closeted for most of it. But at the end of the day, I find a sense of belonging when I have that one special person with a deep connection. And so that was, with my mom when I was younger, also with 1 or 2 best friends throughout my life. When we have, deep conversations about how we think, what we feel, I think that's where I find the most connection. And when talking about sense of belonging, I think I am fully satisfied and happy enough just belonging to one person. And that could be like with my mom. I was her only son. I was her only child. And she was like basically fully dedicated to me. And I also loved her a lot too. That gave me a lot of emotional stability in being able to focus on everything else I wanted to do. So I really do miss my mom a lot and that deep love we had. But I also shouldn't be greedy because I also feel very lucky that I had such a close relationship with my mom that a lot of people didn't have. And I experienced like this kind of deep level of love in my life so young. So I know what it should and could look like. I've had it, and I guess I shouldn't be so greedy to keep wanting more and more. I really am happy already and enjoy a lot about life, and it's awesome. So a deeper one-on-one connection, feeling that sense of one-on-one belonging is really that cherry on top. And if you don't know, my mom passed away like 10 years ago. So yeah, finding something like that again would definitely be like a cherry on top. Overall, I guess heteronormative domestic life just probably isn't for me. When we go back to, those pictures I saw of my friends with their first and second year anniversaries, that's great. Maybe I may have that. Maybe I will have a gay domestic life in the future. And on the flip side, maybe it isn't for me. And maybe I might not really find that kind of belonging anywhere. Is this about acceptance? Being okay with that? Because something like this is out of my control, right? Having a deep connection with somebody is not a one-way street. It's a two-way street, and I can't ever guarantee in my life to have something like that again, especially a bond so close as a mother and a child. I'm really curious about how other people feel a sense of belonging. Like for you, think about the specific people in your life, people you can name, in a group particularly, that you feel like you belong to. What about this group ties you together? Because even family, for example, not all families are really tied together. Not everyone always feels like they belong to their family, even immediate families. Kids leave their parents, they get estranged from parents. Oftentimes, they may still be a part of their lives, but it becomes very tangential or just not at all. So, yeah, I've never really belonged anywhere, but maybe that's okay. I do spend a lot of time sort of planning my thoughts out for these videos, so if you liked it, please give a thumbs up and subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss future ones. Thanks for watching, and I'll be showing you the next one.